Before we dive into today's topic, I want you to take a moment and really consider the journey you're about to embark on. This video isn't just another piece of content to scroll through, it's a potential turning point in how you view your relationships, your growth, and ultimately your life. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might just see the world in a completely different light. Today, we're tackling a subject that might ruffle some feathers, challenge your beliefs, and maybe even make you a little uncomfortable. But that's okay, because growth often happens outside our comfort zones. We're going to explore the dangers of loyalty, how it can sabotage your growth. Now, I know what you're thinking, loyalty? Dangerous? But isn't loyalty a virtue? Well, hold on to that thought, because we're about to embark on a journey through philosophy, psychology, and personal development that might just change your perspective. Loyalty. It's a concept as old as human civilization itself. From ancient warriors swearing fealty to their kings, to modern-day employees dedicating decades to a single company. We've been taught that loyalty is noble, admirable, and a cornerstone of strong relationships and societies. But what if I told you that this very quality, which we hold in such high esteem, could be the very thing holding you back from reaching your full potential? Now, before we go any further, let me be clear. I'm not here to tell you that all loyalty is bad. Far from it. Loyalty, when applied judiciously and consciously, can be a beautiful and powerful force in our lives. But like any powerful force, it needs to be understood, questioned, and sometimes even challenged. To help us navigate this complex topic, we're going to turn to an ancient philosophy that's been gaining renewed interest in recent years, Stoicism. The Stoics, those wise thinkers of ancient Greece and Rome, have a lot to teach us about loyalty, personal growth, and living a fulfilling life. The Stoics, philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, emphasized the importance of virtue, reason, and living in harmony with nature. They taught that true freedom comes from mastering ourselves rather than external circumstances. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is the idea that we should focus on what's within our control and accept what isn't. This principle can be a powerful lens through which to examine our loyalties and their impact on our personal growth. So, how does this relate to loyalty? Well, let's start by considering a quote from the great Stoic philosopher Seneca. He said, "I shall never be ashamed of citing a bad author if the line is good." Now, at first glance, this might not seem directly related to loyalty. But think about it. Seneca is essentially saying that we shouldn't let our loyalty to an author or source prevent us from recognizing value elsewhere. He's advocating for a kind of intellectual flexibility that prioritizes truth and wisdom over rigid allegiances. This idea can be applied to many areas of our lives. How often do we stick with a job, a relationship, or a belief system simply because we feel loyal to it, even when it no longer serves our growth or happiness? Let's break this down into some common scenarios where misplaced loyalty might be holding us back. 1. Career loyalty. Staying with a company that doesn't value you or offer opportunities for growth. 2. Relationship loyalty. Remaining in toxic or unfulfilling relationships out of a sense of obligation. 3. Ideological loyalty, clinging to beliefs or ideas even when presented with contradictory evidence. 4. Brand loyalty, consistently choosing familiar products or services even when better alternatives exist. 5. Cultural loyalty, adhering to traditions or norms that may limit personal expression or growth. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but isn't loyalty important? Don't we need it for stable societies and relationships? And you're absolutely right to ask these questions. Loyalty does play a crucial role in our lives and societies. The key is to understand when loyalty serves us and when it hinders us. Let's turn to another Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, for some insight. He said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This quote speaks to the courage required for personal growth. Sometimes breaking free from misplaced loyalties might make us appear foolish or ungrateful to others. But if we're truly committed to our personal development, we need to be willing to weather these judgments. Think of personal growth as a journey up a mountain. Loyalty can be like a comfortable base camp. It's safe, it's familiar, and it provides a sense of belonging. But if we never leave that base camp, we'll never reach the summit. We need to be willing to venture into the unknown, to face new challenges, and yes, sometimes to leave behind the familiar and comfortable. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should abandon all our loyalties and live as disconnected individuals. Far from it. What I'm advocating for is a more conscious, intentional approach to loyalty, one that aligns with our values, supports our growth, and allows us to live authentically. Let's explore this idea through the lens of another Stoic principle, the dichotomy of control. The Stoics taught that we should focus our energy on what we can control and accept what we can't. When it comes to loyalty, this means 1. We can control our own actions and choices. 2. We can influence but not control the actions and choices of others. 3. We can't control external events or circumstances. With this in mind, let's consider how we might approach loyalty in a more Stoic, growth-oriented way. Imagine you've been with the same company for 10 years. You feel a strong sense of loyalty, but you've been passed over for promotions, and your skills are stagnating. A Stoic approach would be to 1. Focus on what you can control, your skills, your attitude, your willingness to seek new opportunities. 2. Recognize that you can't control the company's decisions or the job market. 3. Make choices based on your personal growth and well-being, not just out of a sense of obligation. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Your career satisfaction comes from within, not from blind loyalty to an employer. Now, consider a scenario where you're in a long-term relationship that's become toxic or unfulfilling. You stay out of a sense of loyalty and fear of hurting the other person. A Stoic perspective would suggest 1. Focus on your own behavior and responses within the relationship. 2. Recognize that you can't control your partner's actions or feelings. 3. Make decisions based on virtue and personal growth, not just loyalty or fear. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. In relationships, craving a connection that no longer exists can keep us trapped in poverty of spirit. Let's look at another scenario. You've held certain political or religious beliefs for years, but you're starting to encounter ideas that challenge these beliefs. A Stoic approach would encourage you to 1. Focus on your own quest for truth and understanding. 2. Recognize that you can't control how others will react to changes in your beliefs. 3. Be willing to change your mind in the face of new evidence or insights. Epictetus reminds us, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." True growth often requires us to let go of our loyalty to old ideas. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds well and good, but isn't it selfish to prioritize personal growth over loyalty? It's a fair question, and it brings us to an important point: the balance between personal growth and social responsibility. The Stoics were big believers in the idea of cosmopolitanism, the notion that we're all citizens of the world and have a duty to contribute to the greater good. But they also believed that the best way to serve others was to first cultivate our own virtue and wisdom. Consider this quote from Marcus Aurelius, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." What Marcus is suggesting here is that by focusing on our own growth and authenticity, we actually put ourselves in a better position to contribute positively to the world around us. When we free ourselves from misplaced loyalties and focus on genuine growth, we become more 1. Authentic in our relationships. 2. Effective in our work. 3. Open-minded in our worldviews. 4. Resilient in the face of challenges. 5. Capable of helping others. In other words, by questioning our loyalties and prioritizing growth, we're not being selfish, we're actually preparing ourselves to be of greater service to others and to society as a whole. But let's be real for a moment. Questioning our loyalties isn't easy. It can be uncomfortable, even painful. We might face criticism from others who don't understand our choices. We might experience fear and uncertainty as we step into the unknown. This is where another key Stoic principle comes into play, the practice of voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that regularly putting ourselves in challenging situations could help build resilience and character. Seneca advocated for this practice, saying, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" By voluntarily experiencing discomfort, we prepare ourselves for the challenges that inevitably come with growth and change. When it comes to questioning our loyalties, this might look like 1. Having difficult conversations with loved ones about changing dynamics in the relationship. 2. Exploring job opportunities outside our comfort zone. 3. Engaging with ideas that challenge our long-held beliefs. 4. Trying new experiences that push us beyond our usual boundaries. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not advocating for a life of constant upheaval or for abandoning all your relationships and commitments. Loyalty, when it's conscious and aligned with our values, can be a beautiful and powerful force in our lives. The key is to ensure that our loyalties are chosen, not merely inherited or maintained out of fear or obligation. So how do we strike this balance? How do we cultivate healthy loyalties while still prioritizing our growth? Here are some strategies to consider. And regular self-reflection. Take time to regularly examine your loyalties. Ask yourself, is this loyalty still serving my growth and well-being? Is it aligned with my values? 2. Practice cognitive flexibility. Be willing to consider alternative perspectives and change your mind when presented with new information. 3. Set boundaries. Even in loyal relationships, it's important to maintain healthy boundaries that allow for individual growth. 4. Communicate openly. If you're feeling constrained by a loyalty, have an open and honest conversation about it with the relevant parties. 5. Seek growth opportunities. Actively look for ways to grow and evolve within your existing loyalties before deciding to break them. 6. Practice gradual change. If you decide a loyalty no longer serves you, consider how you might gradually transition away from it rather than making abrupt changes. 7. Focus on values over allegiances. Instead of being loyal to specific people, organizations, or ideas, try to be loyal to your core values and principles. By implementing these strategies, we can cultivate a more conscious, growth-oriented approach to loyalty. We can honor our commitments while still remaining open to change and personal development. Remember what Epictetus said. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. In the context of loyalty and growth, this might mean appreciating the loyalties that truly serve us while not clinging to those that hold us back. As we start to wrap up, I want to address one more crucial point. Throughout this video, we've been talking about the potential dangers of loyalty and the importance of prioritizing personal growth. But it's essential to recognize that growth isn't always about moving on or breaking ties. Sometimes the most profound growth happens when we choose to recommit to a loyalty with newfound awareness and intention. Consider this quote from Marcus Aurelius. "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This reminder to appreciate what we have can be applied to our loyalties as well. Sometimes, after careful reflection, we might realize that a long-held loyalty is indeed aligned with our values and supportive of our growth. In such cases, choosing to reinvest in that loyalty with full awareness can lead to deeper, more meaningful connections and experiences. The key is to make these choices consciously. Whether we're choosing to maintain a loyalty or to move on from it, the decision should come from a place of self-awareness, courage, and commitment to personal growth. By approaching our loyalties with this level of intentionality, we open ourselves up to a life of greater authenticity, deeper connections, and continuous growth. We become more resilient, more adaptable, and ultimately, more capable of navigating the complexities of our rapidly changing world. So, as we come to the end of this exploration, I want to leave you with a challenge. Over the next week, take some time to reflect on your loyalties. Ask yourself, 1. Which loyalties truly align with my values and support my growth? 2. Are there any loyalties that I'm maintaining out of fear or obligation rather than genuine commitment? 3. How might I approach my loyalties more consciously and intentionally? Remember, the goal isn't to abandon all your loyalties. It's to ensure that the loyalties you choose to maintain are truly serving your growth and well-being. As Seneca wisely said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Life is long enough, and a sufficiently generous amount has been given to us for the highest achievements if it were all well invested. Let's invest our loyalty wisely, my friends. Let's choose growth, authenticity, and conscious living. Because when we do, we not only improve our own lives, but also become better equipped to positively impact the world around us. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. If you found value in this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that challenges us to think deeply and live authentically. Until next time, keep growing, keep questioning, and keep striving for your highest self.